there, and welcome back to the Mini Weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Let's get into it, Mini. Wow. Excuse me. First and foremost, welcome back. Like I mentioned, I hope every single one of you watching and your families had a beautiful Christmas, happy holidays, and a very nice New Year's. I myself did, and like I said, I hope everybody had a wonderful time off, regardless if you had a couple weeks off, couple days. I hope you were able to enjoy some time with your family, friends, loved ones. Yeah, we definitely missed you over here at the Mini Weekend, and surprisingly, don't have. I mean, we're kind of in a weird spot, especially with college sports, a ton to catch up on. Before we get too much into that, yes, we're coming at you guys tonight on Thursday instead of last night. I know the last podcast on the 19th, I originally said we were going to come back on New Year's Day, but I'll just be completely honest with you guys. I just wanted to enjoy one more night of my 5-day weekend with my family before jumping into the craziness of work and everything. So here we are. And yeah, tonight I got some fun new non-alcoholic drinks to try out for you guys. And tonight we're going with the Blue Moon non-alcoholic Belgian White. And I don't know why every single time I try a non-alcoholic beer that I'm blown away that it tastes exactly like the beer itself, just a non-alcoholic version of it. But that's exactly what it is. Very similar. I know we did the what one was it? We did the Heineken Zero for you guys, which, like I said, I was never really like a Heineken guy, like never crazy into Heineken, but I had, I would have them occasionally to know like what they tasted like. Very similar with Blue Moon. It is a good beer. It's just very similar, like I said, to Heineken. Not something that I typically gravitated towards, but a very good tasting light beer every now and then, especially with a orange, and exactly like it. I'd recommend it. Belgian whites are, wheat brewed. They're typically light beers, but they're not Coors Light, like a light branded beer, but very good and definitely on the lighter side. If you're somebody who is looking for something on the lighter side, but don't really want to do the Budweiser Zero, maybe don't want to do the I'm trying to think of what else. There is Heineken Zeros are typically lighter too, but I would recommend it. Like I said, I think part of the reason when I would get on Blue Moons, and the reason I kind of like this, kind of missing it a little bit, but just that little hint of orange, man, so good, so good. And this is the first time, not only on camera, but just in general, I've ever had this one. So yeah, I really like it. I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it. Let's go 8.7. I really do like it. I would get another pack of these. If you go on to bluemoonbrew.com, you can find out where you can get their non-alcoholic ones. Yeah, again, if you've never tried Blue Moon and you're looking for something non-alcoholic, I would recommend this one. It's got, like I said, it's got a little bit of a citrusy, a little bit of a orange taste. I think you guys would like it, especially those that have tried it. You know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, try it. I guarantee you won't. You won't be disappointed. So yeah. So that's the drink of the night. I'll fix that a little bit. There we go. That's the drink of the night that we have for you guys tonight. And like I said, when I say 8.7, I really like it. Go try it out. But yeah, like I mentioned, not a ton to kind of catch up on other than the Wild and the Wild and the Wolves. There weren't a ton of teams in action, especially last time talking about most colleges kind of being on the winter kind of Christmas break. But the St. Cloud men's hockey team was in action once just a couple of days ago, this last Sunday, in St. Cloud at the Herb Brooks International Hockey Center, taking on the Huskies. And unfortunately fell to the Huskies 2-1. The Huskies took an early first period lead, scoring just over 1 minute into the game, and led for the majority of the game. Fortunately, Cooper Gate took a very, very nice pass from Chase Cheslock at about the 15-minute mark in the third period to tie it up. Once again, unfortunately, less than a minute later, Barrett Hall from Gentry Academy, Minnesota kid, tied it up, or not tied it up, but gave them the 2-1 lead that the Tommies just couldn't get back in it. The unfortunate part, the St. Thomas Tommies had 3 power play opportunities in this game. I just weren't able to connect on any one of them, unfortunately. So you hate to see it happen. But, at the end of the day, I think this team's got to take a hard look in the mirror and see where to go from here. Yes, at the time of that game, the Huskies were ranked number 12. I don't know if they still are. I know on a weekly basis they're changing. I'm guessing they haven't changed. I'm sure they still are, but this team heading into 24 is, excuse me, 4 overall wins, 3 conference wins for a team that really had high hopes at the beginning of the season. If they're going to get back into the thick of things in the CCHA, they've kind of got to turn things around here rather quickly, and they certainly hope to do that. Tomorrow, Friday, they will be in Missouri taking on Lindenwood at 7:30 p.m. and then game 2 on Saturday the 4th will be at 4:30 p.m. And honestly, if they can win those 2 games, I don't remember too much about their men's hockey team, but if they can win those 2 games, this team has a chance to kind of get on a little bit of a roll, because then after those 2 games, they come back home and host Ferris State. And if my memory serves me correct, these last 2 years, I think we've won either 3 of 4 or 4 of 4 in the last between Ferris State. Again, I don't know if they're a bad team or whatever. It just seems like as of recently we've had their number. So if they can get that sweep against Lindenwood, they can get a sweep against Ferris State, all of a sudden they find themselves 8-10-4 overall and a 7-6-3 in the conference, and would put them right back in the thick of things for them. So yeah, like I said, can't help but hope they kind of get back rolling. Obviously, still a very, very lot of hockey still left to be played. They're not wrapping up until that first day in March, so still a lot of hockey to be played. Can't help but feel like, come on, let's get the ball rolling with this. Nothing new for the women's hockey team, but both the men and women's basketball teams kicked off Summit League play today, and the men's team kicked it off in a great way, getting an 89-85 win over the North Dakota State Bison. The win gives them, come on, lower. Sorry about that. The win kind of keeps this hot start going for the men's basketball team. They're now obviously 1-0 in the conference, but 11-5 overall. From start to finish was a pretty back and forth and solid game from the Tommies. Looking at the play-by-play, the Tommies got on the board early, 3-0, and then pretty much went back and forth at the beginning of the game. Bison went up 8-3, and then the Tommies were able to climb back into it and make it a 12-13 game, back and forth. And then at halftime, they actually went in with a 2-point lead, and then were able to keep it going and hold down the stretch for an 89-85 win. Like I mentioned, the team was led by Miles Barstow's 20 points, who added an assist and a steal to go with that. Drake Dobbs added 18. Kendall Blue added 15 points and 3 rebounds. And really, honestly, looking at the box score, really even output. Those 3 players ended in double figures for them, and they continued to get 8 points from Nolan Minnesale and 3 from Rich Byrie from the starters. And then even you look at the bench, getting 9 points from Ben Now, 8 from Carter Bierke, 6 from Ryan Dufault, and then a basket from Ben Oosterbaan. Again, I think it attributes to the overall depth of this team when you see guys up and down the roster getting in the action. Getting points, it really kind of helps the dynamic of the team rather than having to rely solely on 1 or 2 guys to kind of get it done. But a good collective effort. Shot a shade under 50% from 3-point land, which is pretty nice. And then, like I said, good overall win for the men's team, and good way to obviously kick off conference play. They will be in action next, the men's team, Saturday at 1 p.m. in Grand Forks to take on the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota. And then the night of the next podcast on the 8th at 8 p.m. They will be back in Shenneker Arena to take on the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. And then unfortunately for the women's team, they found themselves on the opposite side of their conference opener, going to 8-6 on the year, obviously 0-1 in conference play, but having a tough 69 to 76 point loss to the Kansas City Roos. Kansas City started off hot with a 26-9, 19 win in the lead after the first quarter, and held the Tommies to just 5 points in the second quarter. But that 5 points in the second quarter was just too much, unfortunately, for the women's team to overcome. The Tommies would win the third quarter 19-17 and then 26-22 in the fourth quarter, but just couldn't get within 3 points in the last couple minutes as the Roos were able to hang on for the win. Ladies were led by Amber Scalia with 23 points. She also added 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Jade Hill added 15 points, 1 of 3 from 3-point range, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and a block and a steal. She was all over the place. And then Joe Langben rounded out the double-digit point scores, 10 points. So again, points up and down the board. Jordan Lamker coming off starter got 7, as well as Sammy Opachuk. And then 3 points from Riley Wright off the bench, 2 from Faith Feuerbach off the bench, and 2 from Alyssa Sand off the bench. So not as much bench scoring in this game for the women's team as the men's team had. It's obviously tough to see your 2 star players like Jade Hill and Amber Scalia doing as well as they did, not being able to come away with the win. It's tough, but again, early on in the season, they got 15 games or something like that, 15, 17 more games left until the end of the season to kind of make some waves. But they, like I said, one of the things that this women's team and that women's basketball doesn't get enough credit for at the St. Thomas girls is there's less basketball, just like there's less hockey and basketball programs amongst Division I programs. So unfortunately for the women's team, they're forced to play a lot of these tougher competitions outside of conference opponents. So their overall record looks worse than it actually is. I can even tell you guys right here. They've already suffered losses to teams that you usually see at least in the first couple rounds of March Madness. Drake, Iowa State, and those are pretty much the only 2, I guess, that kind of jump out at me. But Northern Colorado is usually okay. But yeah, and then coming up for them, they will be in action just one more time before the Men in the Next podcast. They will be in Shenneker Arena on Saturday for a 1 p.m. game against the North Dakota State Bison. And a rebound, get back even 500 on the year for them. So good luck to them. And obviously, like I said, a lot of basketball still left to play for the men and women's basketball teams. So before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes with our professional sports, I kind of forgot about this until a little bit before we came on here tonight. The Gophers have their bowl game coming up tomorrow night. In fact, so yes, you heard that right. The Golden Gophers will be in action tomorrow night at 6:30 on ESPN, taking on the Virginia Tech Hokies for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. In what should be a pretty good game, the Gophers are currently 9-point favorites. 9-point favorites over the Hokies for the game. And I kind of go back and forth on this. Like, I think this is a game that they should be able to win. Virginia Tech's main QB, Drone. It'll be an interesting game for him. He had a good start to the season, but this kid hasn't played since third. This game could very much go one of 2 ways. He could start off lackluster because he hasn't really played much lately, and if we can jump all over that, it should be a pretty smooth sailing game for us. However, I have talked about in the past that this Minnesota Gophers team, just the last couple of seasons have just been wildly inconsistent. As much as I think the team can cover those 9 points, I also think it'll be pretty fucking easy for it to be a 2, 3, 1 point game. Looking at their schedule and everything like that, obviously they play different styles of play. Virginia Tech being in the ACC, taking on the likes of Duke, Virginia versus Minnesota, taking on the Wisconsin's, Penn State, Rutgers, Illinois, all those guys. I do, in my heart of hearts, think that the Golden Gophers are the better team, so I do expect them to win. And I actually have a couple picks for you guys on this game because between now and the next podcast, there will be no college football. Sorry, let me rephrase that. No college football playoff bowl games between now and next podcast, so we'll do that then. But then also, I was taking a look at the schedule, and between now and the next podcast, including this Minnesota game, there's only 1, 2, 3 bowl games, and I'm not really too crazy about the other two that aren't the Minnesota Gophers. But in place of this, I will give you guys 2 picks from this game, which before I do, I really genuinely I didn't realize you could, and I made one. But next year, going forward, we are going to be doing college football bracket challenges as well as pick'ems and all that extra fun stuff too. But my bracket is not looking so bueno. The first round, I went 3 of 4. I had Texas beating Clemson. I actually had Tennessee beating Ohio State. That was my one blemish in the first round. I picked Penn State over SMU and Notre Dame over Indiana. However, this last weekend is when my bracket went to shit. I had Texas. I shouldn't say obviously. I thought Arizona State was a pretty good team. I think Texas is better than them, so I had Texas winning. That obviously happened. Oh, and then I had Oregon State winning the whole fucking thing, and they got mollywopped by the Buckeyes. Again, a team I didn't even think was going to get out of the first round, and now they're looking like a team that could win the whole goddamn thing. So, fuck me, I guess. So, yeah, and then Penn State, Boise State. I love Ashton Genty, but that team, in my opinion, is just way too one-dimensional. So I actually had Penn State winning that game, and obviously Penn State did. And then Notre Dame, Georgia. This was one of those tough games for me to pick that I was kind of like, in my heart of hearts, I know Georgia was the better team, but I really, really wanted Notre Dame to win. Ultimately, I went with my heart of hearts, ultimately, I went with who I thought was going to be the better team. I picked Georgia to win that game. And obviously, Notre Dame won. And truthfully, between the 1, 2, 3 ones I got wrong, I'm probably the least upset about this one because I truly do love Notre Dame as a team. Always have. I had the luxury as a kid. We took a road trip out to the East Coast, stopped at Notre Dame, got to see Touchdown Jesus. Really incredible out there. So I really do like that team. I truthfully, between you guys and me, I had in my national championship game, I had Oregon beating Georgia. And with Penn State and Notre Dame playing, I'm actually hoping for Notre Dame. So, yeah, that is what I have for that. So, once again, you guys have seen it firsthand. I digress. So let me get back on topic. Before we move on, the 2 picks that I actually like from this game is, so the line right now, the over-under is set at 42.5. And truthfully, I think there's just one play with this over-under. Hammer that over. I think, 42.5 points, it's a pretty good line for them to set. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I think for both of these teams to put up 23 points, like 23, 24 points, isn't going to be hard for them to do. Both of them could do that just within the first half, maybe in the first 3 quarters. And if they each put up 23 points, that's already 46 points right there. So hammer that over. And then the second bet I actually like in this game, part of it is because I like to win money. Part of it is because I honestly think it'll probably happen. The Gophers just do this take the against the spread, take Virginia Tech +9. No, I do not believe the Gophers are going to lose this game. I do think they're going to keep it relatively close because that is what the Gophers do. This game is probably going to be decided by a Parrish pick or somebody on the defense forcing a fumble, something like that, with Virginia Tech being down 5, 6, or 7 points. So I anticipate it being a closer game. I just don't think the Gophers will be able to cover the 9 points. It's a bowl game. I think most teams get excited about this, especially your younger players. Seniors want to go out with a bang, go get that win. So I think both teams will be playing tough. 6:30 tomorrow night, ESPN. Friday night, the 3rd, ESPN. Go watch it. And those are the 2 picks that I have for you guys for the Gopher game. So yeah, that is what I have for you guys there. And then, got some. This actually isn't new from UNRL, but I got some new drip from UNRL over Christmas. We'll have that on next week. Sorry, I have no idea what the hell is going on with my eye. Sorry, I keep picking at it. But yeah, I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. UNRL.com or .co. Go check them out. They have something for everybody. If you're into athleisure, they have it. If you're into nice looking quarter zips, if you're looking for joggers, sweats, golf stuff, you name it, they have it. They're making bags now, golf bags. They're making backpacks. It's just, like I said, I can't speak enough about them. Go check them out. You won't be let down. I'll be the first to admit they're not the cheapest brand out there. They're definitely cheaper than, the Lululemons and stuff like that by a little bit. But go check them out. Won't be disappointed. And they have an incredible return policy. So, like, if you get something and you just decide, hey, I don't really want this anymore, I think you have 60 or 90 days to send it in. And they actually do a really good job, too, of a lot of the times I run into this. Like, now I kind of know what sizes fit me finally after years of getting stuff from them. But you can buy something, and then if it feels like too tight in the chest or whatever, and you need to size up, you can tell them that you're exchanging it, and they will actually send you out your appropriate size before they technically actually get this back in stock, and vice versa too. So, like I said, I can't say enough good things about them. Go check them out, and we will show you our new drip next week with our first guest of 2025. So with that, the Minnesota Wild, like I said, they've been in action since we've last been on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. 7 times. And have a, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-3 record. So not a great record, but they're still sitting atop the Western Conference, Central Division, and League. They're currently, after tonight's game, on a 2-game winning streak, winning 4 of their last 5. And incredibly, they've been without Kirill for the last 4 games and have won 3 of those games. Marco Rossi has come up in a big way, scoring 3 goals and 5 points in the 4 games without Kirill Kaprizov. He's already up to 14 goals and 32 points. Not even halfway through the season. So it's awesome to see a guy like him kind of stepping up and doing his thing for the Wild here. And it's weird to kind of see the flip-flop here, excuse me, this year from last year. Because last year, for all of the year and most of the year, the Timberwolves were the more consistent team and were playing a lot better. Where the Wild were kind of streaky. And now it's kind of flipped. Obviously, the Timberwolves lost a heartbreaker in Minneapolis to the Boston Celtics tonight too. But before we get into the Timberwolves here, again, I think the most impressive thing about this Wild team is it hasn't been as big of a deal as it was last year, but we've been hit with the injury bug a bit. We were without Eric Sinek for a while. Excuse me, he's finally back. We are now without Kirill Kaprizov. He'll be back before we know it. And now we're all with Jared Spurgeon again. I don't know what the hell's going on with that guy. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, I'm still a little bit confused to why he's our captain. I understand he's probably a good leader. He seems like a nice guy, a good guy in that sense. But at the same time, this is the third year now that he's been hit with the kind of injury bug a little bit and hasn't been playing as much. hot take, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not super duper old. He's 35. He's definitely not the oldest one on the team, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hung him up this year. If at the very least, or at the very latest after next season. I mean, well, they played 38 games. This year he's playing in 32, but all of last season he played 16 games. I guess 2023 he played 79. Um, but it just seems like he's just been so injured. And as much as a leader as he is, if you have a captain, like you want it to be a younger guy, you want it to be somebody who's out there making a presence in the game. And he hasn't even been out there for half our games yet this year. So I just, again, this isn't me questioning his leadership. This is more so, hey, like, obviously when you have your captain out or an assistant out, you get to put an A on somebody else's jersey. So there's still veteran leadership on this team. I just think if you're Garen, you got to give the captain seat to a guy like Boldy or Eric Sinek already. I mean, give it to one of your guys that you know is going to be here for a while, and just just quit digging around with it. But that's my 2 cents on that. But yeah, like I said, they're playing really well. That's another thing too. We've been without Gustafson for a while here. Currently off the roster. I think he's coming back on it, but Fleury was able to pick up the win tonight in Washington, which was probably nostalgic for him after all the years playing against Washington and Ovechkin as a member of the Penguins. But yeah, like I said, they're playing solid hockey. They're playing good hockey. They're getting contributions from all over the place. Obviously, 30. What is that? Let me go back here. 539. Yeah, just coming up on halfway points, and we already have 52 points, coming up on this halfway point. Obviously, you have Kirill Kaprizov, who is in a league of his own with 23 points and 23 goals and 50 points in the first 34 games. But with those 23 goals, you got Marco Rossi with 15, Boldy with 13 already, Zooks with 8, Goudreau 7, Bolino with 6. And then obviously there's a bit of a drop off, just like there was with goals. But then you got guys like Marco Rossi who had 32, Boldy with 31. I think I can speak with confidence that I can say I anticipated Boldy kind of being where he's at, maybe a little bit higher. Rossi's impressed me. Rossi very much has impressed me. Zuccarello's got 22, Faber's got 20, Goudreau's got 16 points, Foligno 15. I mean, you go all the way. You got Kirill, Rossi, Boldy, Zuccarello, Faber, Goudreau, Foligno, Eck, Johansson, Spurgeon, Brodin, Middleton, and Declan Chisholm. That's 13 players almost halfway through the season that have at least 10 points. Hartman is right there with 8 himself, but you're getting, again, I think, obviously Kirill's going to continue to do his thing, but when you're able to get that production from a lot of different guys, it takes the heat off of Kirill feeling like he needs to produce, because he will. I think when that pressure's just not there, he's just going to ball like he has. So, like I said, Wild keep on rolling, playing well, they're doing well. Like I said, they're in the standings. Like I said, they're right behind the Jets, second in the division, 52 points to the Jets, 56. They're currently third in the entire Western Conference, only behind Winnipeg and Vegas. And then in terms of the league, those 2 teams and the Capitals are the only teams that have more points than them. Right now, obviously, we have the tiebreaker with the Capitals, picking up an extra point by virtue of a shootout loss, have 53 points to our 52. So, again, this team has been, as far as I'm concerned, far exceeding expectations, and can't wait to see what they do going forward. Speaking of going forward, before we move on, I did have a couple of people reach out there like, Jack, how the hell did Kirill Kaprizov get injured? And honestly, I don't fucking know. Your guess is as good as mine. So he's been out, like I said, the last 4 games. He didn't play Dallas, Ottawa, Nashville, Washington. He's officially on the IR, and from what I heard, from what I gathered, is it's more of a what the frick is the word I'm looking for? Is more, I can't even know. It's more essentially so that they can bring more bodies. So he's not going to be out for much more. Right now, he's anticipated to be back January 7th, which would mean he would only miss this Carolina game on Saturday, possibly St. Louis, but Carolina and St. Louis are just Carolina. But apparently, it was like a logistic thing. Apparently, they had to put him on IR so that they could bring an extra body or two on their road trip to Washington and Carolina. If he was out and they didn't designate him onto the IR, they would have be able to bring as many bodies. So it was more of a logical kind of thing from that point of view. But the fact that we're playing pretty well, I mean, like I said, we came from behind Dallas. We had a tough loss against Ottawa, a team we definitely should have beat. But then handily beat Nashville and then beat Washington in comeback fashion. So really nice to see. And then, yeah, like I said, they got a couple games coming up here. They will finish up that quick 2-game road trip in Carolina Saturday at 6. And then on Tuesday at 7, they will be hosting the St. Louis Blues. I believe for the first time of the year. I think we played them one other time, but it was in St. Louis. So those are the only two times we have played them, and should be a fun week ahead. Excuse me, for the Wolves, little bit of a back and forth. Obviously on a two-game losing streak right now against arguably two of the best teams in the league. Before that, we were on a 3-game winning streak that included a Christmas Day game against the Mavs. Before that, 3-game losing streak, 2-game win streak. I mean, bottom line, this team just needs to do a better job of closing out games. That Oklahoma City Thunder game, it was an 8-point loss. Yeah, I get it. But we technically had them. We were only down 3 points with minute and a half to go, I think. And some of that was honestly, free throws. Celtics almost came back. I don't know what the answers. I don't know what the answers. I think I have a solution that could potentially help them when they're down in comeback situations where it's like, okay, you got 5 minutes to go and you're down 10, or you're down, you got 3 minutes to go and you're down 8. We just carelessly just fucking shoot up threes, and it's great. It's a 3-point league. I get that, but it's like, don't just settle for a 3-point shot. Like, get an open three. Or if you don't have an open three and you head fake and you can see a lane, drive to the bucket and try to get 3 points without having to shoot 26 feet from the basket. I think they just got to start playing better ball down the stretch. I think you got to get a couple more of these guys' confidence up, like Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo a little bit. He was feeling itself and stroking it tonight from 3. But I think you got to get some of these guys' confidence up a little bit, because I fear that this team is going to get too reliant on Anthony Edwards to bail them out in those situations. And you don't want that to come up, not because he can't do it, he can do it, but because you don't want opposing teams saying, hey, we have to lock up Ant and let anybody else beat us. And then now you're in a position where the other 4 people on the floor are like, I don't have a ton of confidence. I don't know what ball coming to me. It looked like actually Jason Tatum got Ant on the arm when he was coming down. That wasn't called at the end of the game. Maybe should have been called, neither here nor there. But yeah, like I said, I think the Wolves need to do a better job of closing out close games. I think they need to do a better job of not just carelessly jacking up threes when they don't need to. Like, if you're down 8 with 90 seconds to go and you just gave up a shot to make it an 8-point game, sure, start putting up some threes. But I've seen some of these games coming down the stretch. The Warriors game back in December, two of those Warriors games, and the Hawks game. Like, if you're down 10, 12, 14 points with like 5 minutes to play, why the fuck are we freaking out and just throwing up threes trying to cut to the lead? No, take smart shots, get guys open, get open shots, get good looks, and be creative with it. I said it a couple of weeks ago when we talked about what I would fix with the NBA. We're getting too reliant on the 3-point shot. I understand they're fun to watch and all that kind of stuff. Like, Jesus Christ, like, don't just be aimlessly throwing up shots. So, figuring out a way to obviously put themselves in a better position where they're maybe up by 10 with 3 points to go or 3 minutes to go. But closing out games, not aimlessly shooting up threes within these next month or so, I think would work wonders because I'll be the first to admit this team is not where I thought it would be. We're a little over 30 games now. We got All-Star game coming up in the next month. And I hope it doesn't happen. I hope there's not an overhaul, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Wolves try to make a trade. I don't know who they go get at this point. I just hope they don't blow this whole thing up. I get if Randall's not going to stick around, you probably want to get something for him because he's only on his contract's up after this year. I just don't think this is the year, especially coming off of what we were able to do last year. This isn't the year to try to blow something up in the middle of the season after blowing it up in the off season. But then again, what do I know? And gosh, I didn't even really look at the schedule. We have an opportunity here, honestly, to go on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even 6, 7 game winning streak here that would put them at 23, 24, and 16 on the year. We got Detroit before the next podcast. We got Detroit in Detroit at 8 p.m. on Saturday, the 4th. Monday the 6th, the Clippers come to town at 7. And then Tuesday the 7th, we go to New Orleans at 7. But then after that, after those 3 games, you go to Orlando, you host Memphis, you go to Washington, and you host Golden State. Like, New York, okay, might be tough, but you might actually have something to play for after they blew us out the last time. Cleveland's been playing good, but if you can steal one from them, Memphis again is beatable. We beat Dallas once already. They just kind of have to take the opportunity that's given to them and compiling these wins. I mean, you go back and you look at this season so far, and they have not won more than 4 games in a row. So I wouldn't go as far as say they're in a hole, but they're definitely in a spot where a worse spot than they should be or than that they're capable of being. So gotta figure it out. Gotta figure out a way to win some of these games. Play better at home. I mean, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their last 5 losses, 1, 2, 3 of them have been at home. So again, it just comes back to defending home court, playing better, closing out games, and hopefully they can turn around. I have faith that they can do it. It's just a matter of actually, doing it. So, yeah. So now on to the NFL, and wow, holy Santa Claus shit! I cannot believe we are already. I cannot believe we're already looking at week 18 here in the NFL. I know I said this last time we were on, but my God, it feels like we were just kind of getting hyped and getting ready for the beginning of the season, and now it feels like we're not far away from looking forward to the start of the 2025 season, which seems pretty fucking crazy if you ask me. But yeah, anyways, crazy week 17 if you ask me. Got a good, hard, quality win over the Green Bay Packers to set up a winner-take-all game in Detroit this upcoming week. You saw teams like, sorry, I had the schedule. I thought I had the schedule up, my bad. You saw teams like the Kansas City Chiefs solidifying that 1 seed. You saw Cincinnati keeping their playoff hopes alive. What else did we see? We saw Buffalo essentially, locking in that 2 spot. And apparently the New York Giants do not want the first overall pick. So that's something to talk about too. But yeah, fun. It was a fun week. It was weird and kind of fun getting to see games on Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then Monday Night Football, 5 games. But it's so weird because we go from a week 17 that had NFL games on 5 nights of the week to now week 18. There's no Thursday Night Football. There's no Monday Night Football. It was Saturday or Sunday, which I think is goofy. Again, what the fuck do I know? But yeah, Saturday night we get to see Cleveland, Baltimore. Baltimore's essentially got the AFC North locked in, and Cincy and Pittsburgh. Cincy playing for their playoff hopes really hope they get in, honestly. Honestly, if I were a Cincinnati fan and they don't get into the playoffs, I would be fucking pissed because Jamar Chase is obviously playing great, but might win the Triple Crown. But Joe Burrow is arguably playing the best football we've seen in recent history. And I think part of the reason we're not talking more about Joe Burrow and putting him in the MVP conversation is because of the record of the team and the fact that he's the only MVP candidate that isn't solidified in a playoff spot. And again, I don't think anybody could have seen this defense being as dog shit as they are. Anyway, can't wait to see this week's games get under wraps. And then obviously for us Vikings fans, we literally have to wait until the last game of the week and the year, but it'll be well fucking worth it. I think it's going to be a really fun game. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about it, giving their takes, and I agree with a lot of it. I agree with the analysts that say the Detroit Lions need the number one seed more than we do. I think that's for two reasons. I think I think the Vikings are more battle tested, meaning I think if we need to, we're a team that can go on the road 3 games and win 3 road games because we've been playing pretty well on the road this year. And injuries. Like, we are a team that it'd be nice to have the 1 seed and have the bye, obviously, and get everybody 100%. Because I don't think there's a lot of guys on this team, on any team in the NFL, at 100% health right now. But anyway, they need it more than we do. They need the rest. And I really do believe that should the Detroit Lions, hot take, you heard it here. I shouldn't say you heard it here first because other people have saying it. But also we here at the Mini Weekend believe, should the Minnesota Vikings win this game, I think the Detroit Lions lose their first round matchup to, who would it be, the Rams or the Bucks? Rams and Bucks are playing good. Not only are they playing good football right now, but they get to play the Lions at home for the fourth game in 4 weeks. It's just going to be a tough go for them. So let's just get into it for you guys. So for our final regular season picks of the year for week 18, again, I'm going to scooch over here so that you guys can see the picks. I am taking, in the final week, I really like the 3-point line that Vegas set for this game with us. And I'm actually going to be taking us +3. And this is the reason. Not only do I honestly think we are going to win, I originally had us beating Detroit at home and splitting with them, each home team getting the win. I still think we're going to split with them, obviously, but I think we're going to get our revenge. But I really love taking this +3 line because I think win or lose, I think it's going to be a 1, 2, or 3 point game either way. I think it's going to be close, just like the last game. And yeah, I just think it's a good line. I think it's tight, obviously, but I think it's going to be a close game. And I think we're literally going to flip the script on them. I think we are going to kick a last-second field goal to win, 31-28, something along those lines. That's how I think this game is going to go. So like I said, I'm taking us +3 for the number 1 seed and, hopefully getting to play the Commanders or the Packers in the first round, in the divisional round. How sweet I'm not forward thinking. I'm trying not to forward think, but how sweet would it be to know that our first Super Bowl was a Super Bowl where we beat the Packers fucking 3 times from the start of the season to the Super Bowl? That would just be amazing. Anyways, I digress. Trying to get too far ahead of myself. But yeah, that's the pick I like for our Vikings. Lock of the week, Tampa Bay -13. I think right now the Buccaneers offense is sizzling hot with Baker Mayfield, while the Saints defense has been atrocious as of late on the back end, and I think the Saints will probably be playing to try and get a better pick as well. Couple that with the fact that Mike Evans is 100 yards short of his 1,000-yard season, and Baker Mayfield has already been verbal about trying to help him get that. And, I just think the Saints offense has few paths to actually scoring points with its, lack of should we say, healthy weapons. So give me the Bucks to win that one comfortably, 31-10. And then the upset of the week, I actually like Kansas City plus 10. Now, yes, you heard that right, Kansas City plus 10. So part of the reason they're so low is because they've officially announced that they're going to be resting most of their, not most, but some of their starters, including Patrick Mahomes. So that's why they're underdogs in this one. But I do think Carson Wentz in Andy Reid's system can, move the ball well and be effective. While the Chiefs defense, I think, won't fall apart, minus some of their frontliners. I actually really like this line because in my heart of hearts, I really want Kansas City to win this game outright because that would help the Cincinnati Bengals get into the playoffs, and I really want to see the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs. But regardless, I think they're going to keep it close. So I actually, like I said, I like Kansas City plus 10 in this upset of the week, but I actually have Denver winning the game 30-27. So yeah, that's what I got for those picks of the week. And then in our beautiful final game of the season, I got some good ones again. So offensively, I think Darnold is feeling himself. I think after that game, you guys, I'm sure, probably all saw him going in there, doing his moves in there, and KOC just taking a step back, just looking at, the fruits of his labor, everything that's become of it. And I think he's going to continue to have that confidence and fucking ball out. So I think he's going to light it up against the depleted secondary of the Lions. I got him throwing for at least 290 yards and at least 3 touchdowns. Don't know who, but it would be sweet to see the regular season ending with Darnold doing great, JJ getting a tutty, Hawkinson getting a tutty, and Addison getting a tutty. But that's not the bold prediction. Bold prediction is Darnold to throw again for at least 290 and 3 tutties. And then defensively, I'm really excited for this game. I'm really excited because Blake Cashman's going to be back. A lot of people don't know this, but the last time we played Detroit, we did lose, but we didn't have Hawkinson and we didn't have Blake Cashman. This time around, we have both of those guys. If Hawkinson can just be cognizant of where Kirby Joseph is and just fucking punch him in the head before he can take out his ankle again, that would be preferred. But on the defensive side of things, I already said it, Blake Cashman. I think him and Ivan Pace are going to be difference makers in this game. So I got Blake Cashman, the long-lost cousin of me, being a difference maker and finishing with at least 10. I think he's going to have a day. But my prediction is that he's going to have at least 10 tackles and at least 1 sack. I would not be surprised if he had 10 tackles, at least 1 tackle for loss, and at least a sack and a half. I think he's going to feast. I think he's excited to make his presence known. I think some of these guys, especially Hawkinson and Cashman, who were not available for the first Lions game, are hungry to show them, hey, we're going to be difference makers. And I anticipate this team and this defense coming up with another turnover, and I cannot wait to see what Cam Bynum has cooked up for this upcoming week for them. So, final picks of the regular season. There you have them. Before we let you guys go, first touchdown challenge. Once again, we'll put my Venmo handle down here for you guys. We got $30 rolling into this last final week. Fortunately, with how well the Vikings have done, we're guaranteed at least 1 playoff spot. So we have something cool in place that I'm not going to tell you guys this week. I'm going to tell you when it could potentially be the last one for tiebreakers, because obviously, I don't need to be sitting on money the entire rest of the year. But yeah, last week, finish one thing at a time, Jack. So yeah, first touchdown challenge, $30 rolling into this upcoming week. Venmo handle right here, Venmo $5. Tell me how you think the first touchdown is going to be scored. Whether it's Sam Laporta receiving touchdown, Amon-Ra St. Brown rushing touchdown, Jamison Williams receiving, Aaron Jones rushing, Jordan Addison receiving. And if you win, you get all the money from this upcoming week and $30 rolling over. Per usual, I'll put some good examples around here. But yeah, so do that. Make sure you get your last week of the pick'ems in. We'll announce the winners next week. And Skol. Until next time, Minnie.